This to me is the most respectful thing that I can do to the tradition of sushi. Not to try to copy it, not to try to be something that I'm not, but to figure out what I am with local products. We get our fish as locally as possible, all sustainable seafood. This is our delivery from Greenpoint Fish in Brooklyn. There are 2 of these steelhead trout from Hudson, New York. The slime is a good thing because, especially with fish in the salmonoid family, it's a sign of freshness. It's a protective layer of slime that keeps them healthy in the water. Steelhead trout it's a salmon relative. Genetically, I think biologically, it's identical to rainbow trout. The difference is that steelhead trout have life cycles more like salmon, and they spawn in fresh water and then swim out to the sea and spend most of their lives in salt water. If you were just to leave the scales on, you're just like cultivating bacteria growth. More than anything in the water content in a fish, you don't want to dry it out really hard, but like the way that we store it, wrapped in the towels, it doesn't seem like a dried fish. It seems like a little bit concentrated. There are so many fish just on the East Coast of the US that are underappreciated, that would be excellent on our sushi menu, excellent on any sushi menu, but hard to find because either fishermen don't think they can sell them for anything, they use them as bait, or they're thought of as trash fish. Kind of an absurd term. These are classic brand sports towels. I have no idea why they're called sports towels, but we wrap our fish in them and they're phenomenal. We would be lost without them. These are essentially a substitute for like a dry ager. This is Tuesday's trout, this is Saturday's trout, and you can see some of the lines of the mussel underneath, as opposed to like right now this just looks like very kind of gray. So this still has a few days to go. And we're gonna take off first the stomach lining, and then we'll pull out all these pin bones along here. These are like $135 fish tweezers, which seems absurd until you use them and then you use other ones, and then all of a sudden it makes sense. Now it's pin bone, we can smoke it. This is my rigged smoker. I'm gonna light some apple wood. This is a block of compressed apple wood chip. It's ground finely and then pressed back together, and it's made for cold smoking. When you light it, it produces a lot of smoke, but it only gets hot in this very like localized area. So for the steelhead trout, we smoke the whole fillet. It goes for like 10-15 minutes. We reserve the best parts for sushi and sashimi. One of my main goals with Rosella was to open a restaurant that had both the omakase side and the a la carte side, so that we can put rolls and chirashi bowls and that on the menu, so that the trim, which is delicious, but maybe not perfect for a piece of nigiri, so that doesn't just get tossed at the end of the week or whatever. Our fish head python is the best example yet of not wasting product. Once you learn what you can do with fish heads, it's very difficult to just throw them in the trash can. This is Matt Kramer, sushi chef, artist. He's our mussel steaming expert.
So these are Prince Edward Island mussels. It's northeastern coast of Canada. These are gonna get rinsed. While the mussels are soaking, we'll go ahead and start the aromatics. In this case, it's shallots, garlic, and ginger. And we'll start those cooking. The mussels will get added to that, and then we'll steam them open with some sake. Matt
Kramer and I met at Uchiko in Austin, Texas. There's the friendship side of our relationship, which is great. Working with him on a sushi bar is great in a different way. It's like one of the most consistent, persistent, good-natured people I've worked with. The mussels nigiri started as an homage to Dragonfly Sushi in Gainesville, Florida, which is the first sushi restaurant where I worked. Certainly the best sushi restaurant in Florida. There was a dish on the menu that they should never have gotten rid of called the sake seared mussels and clams.
Dump them into this sheet tray, where now that the mussels have cooled down, we'll go ahead and strain out the liquid that we were steaming them in. We actually reserve this. It will become the sauce for our mussel nigiri piece. Pulling the mussel out of its shell right now, and then this is the beard that I'm gonna be removing. Basically just a quick pinch, comes out just like that, and then added to the pot.
I am proud of the mussels nigiri. I do think it encapsulates us. I also think it's like something you just don't find anywhere else. We get Louisiana head-on shrimp. We save the shrimp heads to make a shrimp head chili oil that is used on the shrimp nigiri. The shrimp we use consistently comes from Louisiana. They are white leg shrimp.
I think it goes against this maybe common notion that like, oh, this like Gulf shrimp is of a lower quality. This one, it's abundantly available, and it, I think, makes a much more beautiful piece than sometimes people get across.
I have to chime in here too. Gulf shrimp are some of the few wild-caught shrimp that are categorized as sustainable by the guides that we use. The flavor also, like compared with the botan ebi, ama ebi, the spot prawns and that, the word that comes to mind is like a dirtiness, but I mean that in a good way. Like the rich, the sort of shrimp that you would use for Cajun food, like where you get the deep, deep flavor.
These heads we're getting ready to turn into shrimp head chili oil, and we'll use olive oil as our base. Aromatics, we have garlic, ginger, shallots, arbol chilies, and gochugaru.
The answer to why we use like the bolder flavors, I didn't really consider anything else. It's just like the food that I love. The sushi that we make here, the food that we make here, largely is just like what I like most about food and what I like most about sushi, turned up as much as I can.
Once the shrimp are headed and peeled, we'll cut the tails off, just getting them to the right length for a sushi piece. Right now we're taking out the poop. There's a little secondary vein.
Why do you normally don't have any trouble saying that sort of thing.
We're taking out the poop. Right now, we're taking out the poop.
The food here it's a combination of a whole lot of work and technical progress, my desire to enjoy myself in restaurants in general, my desire to share my love of sushi. We're gonna make dashimaki tamago. This is soy oil. This is like our go-to neutral oil. Tamago pans are almost always, like this is a copper rectangular pan. The 90-degree angles are really bizarre at first to work with, but then once you get a feel for the technique, it's very helpful. But it's like useless for anything else. You want the pan to be at a temperature where it sizzles as soon as you pour the egg in, but doesn't brown it. If it's too cool, the egg doesn't start sizzling right when you drop it, there's a good chance it's gonna stick, then you're in trouble. The chef who taught me how to make tamago, was the first chef who hired me. His name is Tun Lee. He is one of the most patient, talented chefs I've worked for. I owe a lot to him. Yeah, now when I make tamago, I can't help but feel him watching me. If I were to mess up in front of him, he wouldn't do anything other than like shrug it off and encourage me. But there's something about that to me that like is much more powerful than being scolded. The way we serve the tamago at Rosella comes from my love of fresh tamago. Fresh dashimaki tamago is warm, if not hot. So started warming it in butter. Once I started doing that, like maple syrup seemed like a natural addition. People, night after night, compare the tamago to French toast, which makes sense. It's eggs and butter and maple syrup. It's almost exactly 15 years since I started making sushi, which was in early May of 2007. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. This is scallop sashimi and pesto with pickled green strawberries. I didn't expect sushi to become my career. I was in sports journalism before I was in restaurants. I did what I needed to do, which was push both as far as I could and see which one I couldn't live without. This is a cured and seared Gulf shrimp with shrimp head chili oil. Something that I've been talking about more recently is that I think it's good to identify when you're good enough to be able to do what you want to do. I feel that way here. I can make the food that I want to make here. This is smoked steelhead trout from Hudson, New York, as nigiri and in a roll with dill cream cheese and tamago and cucumber. If somebody looks at our menu and sees that there are rolls on the menu, determines that it's not authentic sushi, it isn't, but also what does that mean? I have no interest in trying to convince somebody that it is. These are sake steamed mussels from Prince Edward Island. The reason that I stayed in sushi is because it's fun. I stayed in this because the process is something that I love. If that were the case, this would just be torture.